66 research publication, journals and conferences under him, 83 PG guidance, 11 PhD supervisors, 5 books and 2 research projects under him. He is a member of Reservoir Operation in River Narmada, constituted by the Narmada Control Authority Indore, Sustainable Mobility Project for Indore City, STA for MP, Rural Role Authority, RG, Watershed Mission in Indore, modernization and capacity enhancement of Yashwant Sagar Dam. On behalf of all the students and teachers, I thank him for providing his gracious presence to join us today and enhance our joy. With equal pleasure, I invite Dr. S.M.Narulkar sir onto the stage.
So, thanks to the organizers who called me to deliver a lecture. Basically, till now, all of you might have heard many speakers who would have spoken about the various ways in which you are treating the wastewater, then you are using that wastewater as a recycling unit. I don't know, but has somebody discussed about a water treatment plant, a sewage treatment plant associated with a tank, lake or tank, whatever name you take? So that is a unique case in Indore. We have a Piplahana water tank close to that. Next slide. You can. Next. Now, basically, this is the data related to the wastewater or sewage which is flowing in urban India, and we know that urban population is rampant. It is increasing day by day. Every day you find that cities are expanding. You see Indore, you see any other city, you find that there is lot of infrastructure projects, there are a lot of infrastructure projects going on, and those projects need water. Those projects for residential purposes or commercial purposes, whatever it is, they need water, and of course the water disposal also, and the sewage quantity in general is increasing overall. So that is 70,368 million liters of water is estimated, and this is the official website of Namami Gange project, in which safe water reuse of sewage, because water itself is a precious thing. It is becoming a precious thing, and in India most of the cities are water stressed cities. If you talk of Bangalore, if you talk of Chennai, they are very notoriously famous for their water scarcity. Similar lines, Hyderabad also is now becoming, eventually every city in this country, one day or the other is going to be water scarce city. So you have to recycle the resources. So that is how you start. So it is general, whatever has been mentioned is, the gist of that is that you cannot spare the sewage just like flowing into the water body, any nearest water body or so. So that is one major thing. So the major water body which is very close to many of us, हम लोग देखते हैं, we enjoy, we get our recreational needs fulfilled in close to the water bodies, etc. So whatever we see, that there are lakes, and lakes are the most important water resources. Though this data pertains to the whole lake population in the world, so it is 0.3% of the total surface water body sources. जो surface water body के sources है, उसमें 0.3% है lakes. तो सी के साथ वगैरह सब कुछ. अपने इंडिया में तो इतने बड़े बड़े लेक्स का रिवाज नहीं है. वी डोंट हैव दोज काइंड ऑफ लेक्स. ओनली वी हैव ओनली वन huge lake, natural lake is Wooler Lake in Jammu Kashmir, And then there is Dal Lake, or there are various lakes. Now people say that Bhopal also has a very big, huge lake. It is almost covering the area of old Bhopal, urban area जितना है, at least उतना ही एक बड़ा lake है भोपाल के पास. ऐसे कई जगह lakes हैं. और creation of lakes has been a fancy of all the rulers in India wherever there is water scarcity. चाहे तमिलनाडु, कर्नाटका, Andhra, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, everywhere you find that artificially created lakes or ponds are there. And those ponds are getting dried up due to our changing lifestyles, changing style of exploring the water, or rather exploiting the groundwater. So those tanks, they remain unfulfilled. So there are certain things. So there are certain definitions which I need not to read on the slide. So that is how lake is very, very important component. And in villages, you know that most of the lakes are used for a lot of things. Lot of their purposes are served. Their cattle will take bath in that. They will also take bath into those lakes and all. And in India, many of the lakes are associated with certain temples, etc. So it is a pious thing also. And it is one of the best water retaining structure for slow recharge also, and for surface water availability throughout the year. So that is one major thing. So then lakes are important water bodies that provide a wide range of benefit to the environment, wildlife, human population, fresh water supply, biodiversity, climate regulation, recreation, economic value. Everything is mentioned in English. But हम जानते हैं कि तालाब है हमारे शहर में, हमारे गांव में, तो उसका बढ़िया उपयोग किया जाए. That is what is the major thing. The conditions of the lake have been in constant deterioration due to increased anthropological activities, and humans only are reducing the area of the lakes. Because of the excessive silt deposition, most of the lakes are getting silted up, so they are getting dried up. Then there are builder lobbies in every city, every state, every nook and corner of this country who like to encroach upon the lakes. Then there are people who would like to encroach upon the lakes. In everywhere, lakes are associated with food joints, etc. So lakes are deteriorated in quality due to the wastage thrown directly into the things. Then residents, many of the residents, they also throw these things, their wastewater or whatever, they allow it to flow into that. And in many cities, these lakes are considered to be the sink also, that they just leave that into those lakes. I will tell you the example of Bangalore lastly in the end. So before going, we will see ahead. So now there is one lake called as Piplehana Lake. It is an urban lake, and there is a contest from the government side. Government says that it is not at all a lake, but thanks to Mr. Kishore Kodwani, who is a natural and environmental activist and who has fought a war against the government, and then he won that. So at least this strip of land in the form of lake is available in this country, in this city. So that is latitude, longitude is given. Now lake is situated on a tributary of the river Khan, which is popularly known as Palasia Nala in the final stage when it crosses Palasia, but before that it is called as Piplehana Nala. So that is one of the obstacle to the flow of that Nala is this lake. Next, it is very close to the ring road at the World Cup Chowraha. So that is one important thing. The lake spreads over an area approximately 24,300 square meters and is about 5 meters deep. The lake provides a thriving habitat for diverse range of aquatic fauna, including fishes, crabs, frogs, snakes, ducks, birds, insects and more. Even birds also, migratory birds also flock to this lake many a times. The lake is presently used for fishing and recreational activities. The most important feature of this lake is that it is a percolating lake in which recharges the groundwater in the downstream areas. This is one of the most important thing, that this lake has been a percolating tank, which is very rare sight in black cotton soil areas like Indore city and all. So, but the exposed surface is permeable and the water stays after the rains are over, the water stays for hardly 4 to 5 months, that's all. So, beyond that the water doesn't cease to exist into this lake. So, this lake gets dried. So, it is a wonderful percolation tank which enriches the groundwater in the area of Agriculture College, Tilak Nagar and Vandana Nagar and so on and so forth up to Palasia, whatever point it might be going. We don't know, we don't understand the exact geology at present, but there are few people in this city who can understand the geology of this lake. And Indore has a fortunate part that the planners had created a series of lake in southern side. So, every lake has its own important value in the recharge of the wells in the city. But now groundwater has taken a very different shape and very different orientation, है ना. ग्राउंड वाटर को आजकल हम लोग बस खींचने का माध्यम बनाते हैं, ट्यूबवेल खोदा खींचा ओवर, हम उसके बारे में ज़्यादा चिंता नहीं करते. बट वो रिचार्ज होते थे पुराने ज़माने में, जितने वेल्स थे ओपन वेल्स से ही पानी सप्लाई होता था एंड दोज यूज्ड टू गेट रिचार्ज. द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट फीचर ऑफ दिस लेक इज दैट इट इज़ ए सो दैट इज आई ऑलरेडी टोल्ड. नेक्स्ट, it is mainly fed by rain and storm water during the rain, that is storm water monsoon season. Previously a perennial water body spread over 6 acres. It has now become a seasonal. And another thing is that government itself has encroached upon this, so we will come later. The lake was once planned by the government to be killed to create district court complex. That is the major thing, that district court complex is coming just at the brim of the lake, and they are, in fact, original idea of the government was to just fill up this lake and then create the court building and its complex and the parking and all those things. But somehow, thanks to Mr. Kishore Kodwani, who is fighting, who has been fighting for so many causes, environmental causes, so that was one of them. So recently Indore Municipal Corporation has constructed 0.5 MLD sewage treatment plant just close to the lake. Piplaya Hana. Next. This is the condition of lake, because in India there are another aspects associated with the lakes. We worship the lakes, but we spread lot of junk material, that is most of the time plastic sheets, etc., because we bring something, some puja material into that and then throw it here and there. Then people use it for their daily course and somehow the lake gets spoiled. So, religious waste dumping, human settlements, encroachment, fishing and the effluents from the sewage treatment plant. Next. कई ड्रेनेज भी इसमें मिले थे, अभी कम हो गए, but there are drains who were directly left just at the mouth of the lake and everything was flowing into that lake. So that is how the encroachment, and this is not an encroachment which government would blame an individual, but it is the encroachment which is government who thought of creating it intentionally, purposefully, and changing the records of the land use, that it was, they just have given affidavit into the court that this is not at all a lake. It is just created due to mining in the past, so it is not at all a lake. So it's an interesting thing. We have seen from our childhood. I am 61 years old person. I have seen this lake since my childhood, and how can they say that it is not a lake? But they encroached upon this, and this side in 2023, now you see the whole lake area from 2019, now it has been converted into a small strip of land, a very narrow strip of land, but still it has its own function. So next. Now there has been an algal boom in this lake. Lot of algae grow, and everywhere you find that whenever there is sunlight, and all of us are knowledgeable enough to understand that if there are nutrients present in some form of sewage or anything, then algal bloom is going to happen. So there is algal bloom when the water becomes shallow. जब लेक में पानी रिचार्ज होने के बाद जो पानी बच जाता है, in that case then it becomes the algal growth becomes prominent, and then fish fork gets killed most of the time, so they can't survive into this. Next. So algae है वहाँ पर, eutrophic nature है. Excessive algae growth in the lake may not only affect its aesthetic appeal but also poses ecological implication for other aquatic life forms. Fishermen have reported fish mortality in the lake due to these adverse conditions. The excessive loading of nitrogen or phosphorus disrupts the balance of the rate field ratio N:P of 16:1. This imbalance leads to algal blooms, fish kills and serious related issues. Next. Although the water from Pipliana lake is not directly used for drinking purpose, the fish inhabiting in the lake are a significant source of food and are consumed by many people in the surrounding area. The lake water percolates in the ground to mix with groundwater, therefore it is a matter of concern, because that groundwater may get contaminated due to the contaminated water getting recharged from the lake. So surface water quality assessment of the lake must be done to study the environmental impacts. Next. This is the plant. Now this part is over. The second part is that this 25.5 MLD sewage treatment plant is installed into that, and this plant has it is working on attached growth biological reactor AGBBR, attached growth biological reactor. That is one of the important technology in which there is one more B added, AGBR it should have been, but BBR chala gaya, key dab gayi. So that particular biological and semi-biological treatment is taking place. So next. They try to reduce the pollutant content into the flowing into the lake. So that is the general flow chart. Inlet, then screen chambers, grit oil, this is usual sewage treatment plant, then collection tank, primary clarifier. Here there is a clarifier before entering, before the sewage enters into that, which removes the solid waste, etc. Then there is a collection tank, then equalization tank. It is all usual water sewage treatment plant units, whatever are there. Now comes two units, that is fixed film bioreactor 1, and then again recirculated, then fixed film bioreactor 2. These two things are new. Then treated water tank, and this is ozonator. There is ozonator to kill the bacteria, etc. Then multigrade filters, and then ACF, that is the last filter, that is pressure filter kind of thing, and then it goes to the drain. Now this drain is not drain, but that comes into the lake itself. That water which is coming as an output from the sewage treatment plant, which is just besides the road going to Bicholi Mardana, there is a road on one side and another road, the treatment plant is on one side of the road and the lake entrance is at the other side of the road, and that comes through a pipe culvert, and then it spoils the situation in the lake also. Next. So there is primary treatment. Next. So then clarifier, in which the water the first two units are very common, because you might have studied in some lectures here and there, and in your course of your studies in environmental engineering you might have already discussed. So there is a clarifier which removes the solid waste impurities. In our Indore city, people throw lot of plastics also, and many floating objects are also thrown into the sewage. Then we throw idols, we throw so many things. So all those things, as a preliminary sedimentation device, this clarifier is used, the solid separation as well as the sedimentation. So that is one this thing. Next. Then there is a primary treatment, so homogenization, equalization stage to facilitate, pH is adjusted and so many things. along with two important conditions, flow rate and aerobic and anaerobic conditions. तो जो भी शॉक लगता है बार बार सीवेज की क्वालिटी चेंज होने के कारण उसको भी कम करता है. सो लोडिंग ऑफ द सिस्टम, जो कैसे लोडिंग करते हैं, देन वाटर इज ट्रीटेड इन द क्लेरिफायर. आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू एक्सप्लेन यू दिस, आई एम गोइंग टू एक्सप्लेन यू मोर ऑफ फिलोसॉफिकल बैकग्राउंड दैट दिस पर्टिकुलर प्लांट एज सच has been designed and implemented by a private agency, but under the supervision of Indore Municipal Corporation. Indore Municipal Corporation has created 10 regional sewage treatment units in the city, and they are going to increase them more to improve the water quality of river Khan and Saraswati. So that is what was their project, and now it has been implemented in the Swachhata Abhiyan, and Indore fortunately has won 6 times, and probably with all with the contribution of we citizens as well as the administration, we will win 7 times also. There is no competition in treating the solid waste, etc. So that is one aspect, but now they have added water purity in the water bodies, in the rivers, in the lakes flowing through your city. So that is also one of the things, one of the important things. So they have created this tank under that scheme, this sewage treatment plant under that scheme. So the water, then there are steps that then loading of the system, then after that water treated by the clarifier is fed to the state of our sludge transformation unit called as Mijuk, जो sludge को निकाल के बाहर करेगा, reduce the presence of sludge in the waste water, पहले ही उसको separate करेगा. Next, ये यूनिट्स है, इसमें ये खास करके कोर ट्रीटमेंट है स्टेज 1 का, जिसमें फव्वारों से पानी गिरेगा, एंड देन दैट इज़ देयर इज़ ए बायो फिल्टर काइंड ऑफ थिंग, एंड थ्रू दैट द डिज़ॉल्व्ड और अनडिज़ॉल्व्ड सॉलिड को कन्वर्ट करना, और इसका जो टोटल है इस प्लांट में, इसमें थिकनेस होगी, इसमें सॉइल है, उसमें बायोलॉजिकल एक्टिविटीज़ मतलब प्लांट्स लगाते हैं, and then earthworm वर्मी filter भी है यहाँ नीचे, and that's how it becomes a biofilter in its identification. Next, so that is the second unit again. So they are sprinklers, there are these all are technical details, they are available online also or not online, so I will provide these properly in your lecture notes if they require. So that is one important thing. Next, then it is second stage core treatment. Then also you are sprinkling it. By sprinkling we get aeration and aeration. So this particular plant has aerobic treatment also, anaerobic or anoxic. All these treatments are imbibed into one single treatment plant. Otherwise most of the treatment plants are either aerobic और एनारोबिक, जैसे SBR टेक्नोलॉजी होती है तो वो फुल्ली एरोबिक टेक्नोलॉजी कही जाती है, या इस तरह से जो नाम होते हैं दे आर ऑल इंक्लूडेड इनटू दैट. बट दिस पर्टिकुलर टेक्नोलॉजी विथ विच द sewage is getting treated in this case has all the 3 processes combined together, and that's how the sewage gets treated. Next, then there are tertiary treatments like disinfection by ozone, that is what I then polishing by multigrade filter. मल्टीग्रेड फिल्टर में से उसका और ज़्यादा रिफाइनमेंट हो जाएगा, उसमें से जो सस्पेंडेड सॉलिड और डिज़ोल्व सॉलिड्स उसमें से बाहर आ जाएंगे, डिज़ोल्व तो नहीं आएंगे. एक्टिवेटेड कार्बन फिल्टर है, और फिर अल्ट्रा फिल्ट्रेशन है, और फिर डिस्चार्ज थ्रू रीड बेड बनाने का विचार था कि एकदम आखिरी ट्रीटमेंट टर्शरी ट्रीटमेंट के रूप में रीड बेड के थ्रू उसको पास किया जाए, पर वो बनाया नहीं, दे कुड नॉट क्रिएट. सो दिस all units are one after the other, and the water comes down to the lake directly through a pipe under the road, culvert, pipe culvert है, उसके through आ जाता है. Then next, so what did we do? My research student is working on this lake, and MTech student who is working on this lake. So we noted that since this point 1 is the inlet point below the road, and then there are the lake spreads linearly in its area. So how the water quality is getting affected with respect to the distance from the inlet, because जो भी inlet से पानी आ रहा है, देखिए wherever treatment plants are there, whether those sewage treatment plants are there or whether they are industrial waste treatment plants are there, in India or many other countries also, it is not operated fully with 100% efficiency and 100% honesty involved into that. The plant personnel, they want sometimes to bypass certain units, they want to release more and more water. So what do? They generally bypass certain kind of units. So there is a variation in the quality of the outflow through the sewage treatment plant. जैसे उन्होंने कोई यूनिट पे bypass किया है, then ultimately your quality will change, and if it is strictly followed according to the theoretical conditions and the systematic arrangement of the sewage treatment plant unit in its proper lineage, then in that case it will work very well, but many a times that fluctuates. So that's what we decided, that across this cross section we will take the samples and then decide that what quality this lake has, because it's one of the very good idea, that is one of the best ideas theoretically, that if you have a treatment plant and if you are having paucity of water, because Indore is also one of the water stressed city. So what happens that we receive monsoon in our country only for 4 months, and then there is no water flow in any drains. So in that case, to adjust the water or to bring the water to the lake, if there is a water storage, then as I told you that there are a lot of purposes to be served. Now in that case, what will happen, that if this particular system works, then theoretically it is the most ideal system which works, because you are recreating the water out of sewage, and then you are filling it into a lake, and then you are environmentally making a water body to work, and then you are going for activities like recreation, etc., whatever is there. So that is one major thing, and this lake has very good recharge value also. So you can see. Now next slide. Now this is the water quality parameter. There are numbers only, but you can see that as it progresses from this point, there is a fall or there is a rise in the occurrence of that particular parameter into the water sample. So that is general this thing. I will show it on the graph also. Next slide. Now, अरे एकदम ये फर्स्ट प्रेजेंटेशन है, सेकंड भी था ना मेल पे, एक सेकंड था जिसमें ग्राफ था. अच्छा वापस टेबल पे ले, वो सेकंड प्रेजेंटेशन मैंने भेजा था मेल में. नहीं सेकंड, 2 मेल एक के बाद एक 2 मेल भेजे थे, तो सेकंड वाले में ग्राफ है. एनीवे नहीं होगा तो चलेगा. You see that variation. Now you can see that total dissolved solids at inlet is 858, then final outlet पे 634 पे आ जाता है. मतलब ये सीवेज ट्रीटमेंट प्लांट का कमाल है. देन सेक्शन 1 पे ये 265.4 पे मिलता है, 2 पे ये 262, धीरे धीरे घटता जा रहा है, एंड देन फाइनली इट इज़. पर 6th पॉइंट पे आप देखिए कि अचानक टोटल डिजॉल्व सॉलिड्स 858 हो जाते हैं. यहाँ पर जब देखा कि उस कॉर्नर से एक सीवेज लाइन डायरेक्टली कनेक्टेड है, कुछ नहीं, उसका किसी ने कोई ट्रीटमेंट नहीं किया, वो पाइप आया हुआ है. Nobody knows that from where that pipe has come. Nagar Nigam doesn't claim that it is our sewage line. They say that we have intercepted each and every line entering into the, there is no line entering directly into the lake, but still it happens. So 6th point पे अचानक TDS बढ़ा, उसी के साथ टोटल सॉलिड्स बढ़े, एंड सो ऑन. DO में एकदम कमी आ गई 6th पॉइंट पे, जो वो कॉर्नर है जहाँ पर इस सीवेज ट्रीटमेंट प्लांट का कोई इफेक्ट नहीं है. सो दैट इज टिपिकली typical case in which once you put the treated water and on the other side it is untreated water entering into the lake. So now this buffer, this has become a buffer in between both these things. So that is a typical thing. And when we talk of water quality in terms of BOD or COD, then it is in the range here, a nominal moderate range है, चलो ठीक है, बहुत गंदा पानी नहीं है, but यदि वापस इस तरफ जब आते हैं तो 6 पॉइंट पे जाकर फिर से वही कहानी शुरू हो जाती है कि there is a sudden spurt in the occurrence of these parameters which are dangerous to the life of dangerous to the aquatic life as well as the people who are in the surrounding areas. आप किसी सीवेज को इस तरह से खुले में you can't store it just like that. So that is one major thing. Next.
Can we add the second PPT?
Huh? No, it's okay. It is just graphs. There are certain graphs only. Just वो तो थोड़ा सा interest पे दिखाने के लिए. But there are graphs also in the second part of presentation which were added a bit late. So I sent first set of slides and then second part. So आ जाएगा that you can see it. So next. This is an interesting case of Bangalore. Bangalore is the Silicon City in India and so on and so forth, and probably now it has become 4th largest city in this country, and it is going to overtake Kolkata also. It has already overtaken Chennai, and now it is going to overtake Calcutta also, and then it will become 3rd largest city in this country. And every young person in this country wants to have a white collar job in Bangalore. Everybody wants to go to Bangalore. Every kid in this world will aspire to go to Bangalore and work with Microsoft or Google. Bangalore, Hyderabad and Pune. There are 3 cities in this country where everybody dreams of. And then Noida, Gurgaon of course are there. So Bangalore has typical network of lakes which are laid one below the other, and there was a hydraulic system in the King's era. Bangalore was under Mysore kingdom, and in the King's era it was totally having a stepwise location of the lakes, and those, because Karnataka, that part of Karnataka receives less rain in comparison to all parts of other parts, coastal Karnataka, etc. So water was a precious thing for Bangaloreans in old days, and so they had created lakes, and it is a hard rock area just like Indore. So groundwater is a problem in Bangalore just like Indore city, and they created those lakes. But eventually जब Bangalore grow होने लगा, मैं exponential भी limit हो जाएगी किसी चीज़ की कि we say that this city is growing exponentially. वो exponential के ऊपर कुछ exponential चढ़ाकर उस तरह से grow हो रही है वो city Bangalore. चारों तरफ आप देखें कोई ना कोई colony development and this that blah blah, and last year you had you might have seen in the news that a lot of CEOs lost their houses submerged under the water for heavy rain which took place in Bangalore. So ये urban planning, urban disaster के लिए वो है, and those lakes are used. So now Belandur Lake is the largest lake in which 60% of the sewage, water inflow is sewage directly. People are throwing, the builders have very good relationship with the government and the local authorities, and then they allow. Means it is not going to happen in Indore only, but it is everywhere in this world that these people try to push the sewage directly into the lake, and 60% of city's sewage comes through the Belandur Lake. It is one of the largest lake. Karnataka government project to fill several tanks with secondary treated water from polluted Belandur Lake has stirred a controversy. What did the Karnataka government plan? What did they plan? They said that this water can be treated primary and secondary or tertiary, whatever level, and then that water will be transferred to the other lakes to fill those lakes and to bring the beauty, to bring the water resources situation intact in the city, and so on and so forth. So somehow but people in Bangalore are very cautious, and particularly the old citizens of Bangalore, because it is a seat of science. Indian Institute of Science is situated in Bangalore, ISRO is situated in Bangalore. So lot of scientific minds, people with lot of scientific mindset are residing in a city. So they objected that if that is there, if that happens, if that goes on, then they will suffer. The humanity will suffer, the surroundings will suffer, the environment will suffer. But it was not a wrong thing. But people still say that no, there is a possibility that their situation, their environment will get spoiled. And there might be some hidden agenda behind that, that if 1 or 2 or 3 lakes die, then they get more, because there are colonies like Mati Kere behind IISc. Mati Kere is, Mati means some name, village, name of the village, and Kere in Kannada, Kere means tank, water tank, lake or whatever. So they want that this development should not hamper, and that should continue, because their idea of building, creating infrastructure is on the top agenda of any government in this world. So that is how they oppose. So next. So tertiary treated, and this is the famous case in 2021, Bellandur Lake suddenly caught fire. In this world, such phenomena are very rare. You can imagine a lake is set on fire automatically. Lake got fire, and that part, because they are rescuers and disaster management people, that part on Ulsur side, that got just fire took place, bursted out, and nobody knew that what was the reason. Pani ke upar aag lagna is simply a thing, amazing thing, and thing to raise the curiosity. But what happens that this sewage, along with lot of industrial waste, which carried lot of organic chemicals, and that caught fire. So that is one typical thing which happened. So that's what we are also worried, that this lake, if it gets some kind of oils or some kind of any kind of aromatic organic impurities flowing into that, then it may also get fire. And just behind that there is a court building which is going to come in any day, and then that will be creating tremendous problem, tremendous situation. So that these two slides I wanted to show you that these kind of things, when they come together, then they create lot of problem. So environmental managers should be able to create such a good step, to adopt such a good set of steps in which you are doing no harm to the environment, but you are, in fact, you are rejuvenating the environment properly, and you are saving the water. So that is what is basic thing. So here I am just stopping, because I became very late, and so half of the lecture discussion I didn't make. I just went very fast. So if you have any queries, any discussion, any point, you can ask. एक slide तो कुछ होगा नहीं वैसे मेरा ख्याल. Now this is court building which is coming just behind this lake, and this is the boundary of the lake here. There are उसमें दूसरे there is one person probably who came ना, कुमट आया थे क्या प्रशांत? हाँ, तो कुमट साहब ने बताया होगा आपने, उन्होंने फ्लोटिंग आइलैंड्स उसमें लगाए हैं, and he is to be praised like anything, because he donated all the gifts he received in his wedding to this cause. and he has created that this thing. Nagar Nigam, Indore Municipal Corporation has also installed aerators, but this island is working well, but that aerators are not functioning because there is no power supply into those aerators. So ऐसे ही चल रहा है सब काम राम भरोसे. So that is what I mean, that I thank Priyanshu Kumar for drawing attention of the people or local citizens to this issue, and he raised the fund, crowdfunding के through उन्होंने वो लिया था, और अपनी शादी की गिफ्ट जिन लोगों ने उनकी शादी में शामिल हुए, उनके रिश्तेदार, हमारे जैसे उनके दोस्त, तो he took everything in cash and then everything was donated to that cause. ठीक है, वो ग्राफ पे वही है सब कुछ, ग्राफ पे भी वही है, कुछ ज़्यादा कुछ ठीक. वो मर्ज कर देना, फिर लोगों को देंगे तो.
Any questions? Okay.
So as you said that your students are working over some project on Peplayan Lake, they are taking the samples. So what basically are they planning to do?
Basically, there are 2 or 3 things rather. One is that Indore Municipal Corporation will be told that your plant efficiency has to be improved. Once the plant is installed, but as I told you that there are bypasses, there are, they just shut one treatment and then they bypass it through that. So that is one thing. Second is that the next part of that is that to sample the groundwater which is below that particular lake. वो मैंने part नहीं बताया कि groundwater का contamination तो नहीं हो रहा है कहीं. Once the groundwater gets contaminated through this, because wherever there is a recharge of sewage or wherever there is sewage percolating into the ground, that will be carrying the chemicals and all, and even the biological impurities also. So in that case, if it happens that the groundwater gets polluted, then you have to caution the people at some point of time. So that is another thing. And third thing is that just we want to see the progress of one inlet and there is a longer lake. So how it progresses, how the water quality changes, it's a topic of research as such.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, I have one question. You explained us about the lakes being contaminated in many ways, like the waste is being disposed in that, also the algae formed. So what are the measures that are being taken for their betterment and rejuvenation?
There are basically,
Yes.
see, there are 2 sides of anything. One is development and another is environment. Now in rural lakes particularly, but in rural lakes what happens? Rural lakes, the catchment area is infested with lot of manure input, manure, insecticides and pesticides also, and then that flows down into the lake, and that creates lot of eutrophication. So पहले उसमें algae बनेगी, फिर जलकुंभी आ जाएगी, and so on and so forth. Though these things treat the water, but because of excess of nutrients, that becomes this thing. Now in that case you cannot stop runoff from the agricultural fields. You cannot stop runoff coming out of the rains, which is covering the whole catchment area, and then it washes off all kinds of chemicals and they are entering into that. But you can at least avoid or bring it to a particular level that in which you are protecting the lake from eutrophication, that is algae formation, and also you can treat it like aeration, and the Priyanshu might have told you the islands, the function of that island, and he has experimented and got wonderful results also, which he might have shown and discussed in the things. Like.
Thank you, sir.
And we cannot change our lifestyle in a day. But whatever damage we have caused, at least we can retard that damage. Like climate change. Lot of people are talking in the whole world, and now we are realizing that 48 degrees Celsius on the island of Italy, Sicily island of Italy, day before yesterday, 48 degrees Celsius was the temperature which Europe never can imagine. In our country we can say that Badmer or some part of Rajasthan, Gujarat, 48 degrees is not a very big thing. It occurs frequently. But Europe, people go in this season to Europe mostly, they enjoy because India is very hot, so most of the rich people, affluent people go to Europe to enjoy the cold weather. So अब ये उल्टा हो गया कि स्पेन, इटली परेशान हो गए. लंदन में 30 डिग्री सेल्सियस टेम्परेचर जाना, जो कभी लंदन की फितरत में नहीं, इट इज़ नॉट टोटली so that climate change, that phenomena is also, everybody says कि तुम अपने यहाँ से इमिशन कम कर दो, तुम अपने यहाँ से, अड़ोस पड़ोस में बोल रहे कि तुम नहीं, पर अपने घर में कुछ नहीं देखेंगे. और वो चेंज नहीं हो सकता. हमारी व्हीकुलर रिक्वायरमेंट चेंज होगी क्या? हमको तो आना है रोज़ कॉलेज, 10 किलोमीटर 12 किलोमीटर तो रोज़ व्हीकल से आना है, और हम ग्रीन हाउस गैसेस डाल रहे हैं. तो जैसा वैसा है ना, ये ऐसा है. पर हम जहाँ तक हो सके ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा प्लांटेशन करके, ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा पानी के प्रवाह को कम करके, और उसको जितना ज़्यादा सीवेज को ट्रीट कर सकते हैं उतना ही अपने को फ़ायदा मिलेगा. नहीं तो होगा ही वही जो होना है सब जगह पे.
So I had a question. As we know that Pipliana Lake has now been installed floating boats and floating lakes and all, but वहाँ पे aeration, you said that it has been not working properly. So if aeration is not working properly, then how will the floating bed will work properly? It will
there are two different kinds of treatments. Aeration provides oxygen and freshens up the water storage. The second is that this plant itself, all the plants, even water hyacinth or whatever plants you grow, particularly that Canna indica, जिसको करदली बोलते हैं, केले जैसा दिखता है पर बड़े बड़े लाल पीले फूल आते. All those plants, they treat water, they absorb pollutants, and they are found functionally doing the best job out of whatever situation is there. So they absorb the nutrients. The first and the foremost thing is that nutrients are to be absorbed. So nutrients they absorb and they grow. In turn they grow, they give leaves and flowers and fruits sometimes. So that is a good thing, that if that plant will work, it is also an aerobic method of designing. So that islands will work independently. Aeration is just to create an environment, beautification and freshening up of the water, because there is a fish walk in the lake and lot of people are dependent on that. They catch the fish and then they sell it. So that is.
Any more questions?
सर मेरा क्वेश्चन है कि जैसे फ्लोटिंग आइलैंड जो है वो वाटर को रिस्टोर कर देता है, तो ट्रीटमेंट प्लान की जगह एरेशन और फ्लोटिंग आइलैंड की मदद से ही कर सकते हैं ना वो चीज़, कॉस्ट भी कम हो जाएगा उससे.
Yes, I tell you. The basic thing is that जब तक सीवेज है, wherever there is a flow of sewage, जो सबसे इम्पॉर्टेंट बात यह है कि ये जो ट्रीटमेंट टेक्नोलॉजी है, फ्लोटिंग आइलैंड या पासिंग द सीवेज थ्रू ए टैंक विच कंटेन्स प्लांट्स. So that is one of the way with which the biological treatment is being done. So they are called as the plots are created and then the plants are grown. Phytoremediation, that is called as phytoremediation through plants. So that water flows through the root zone of the plant, but those treatments are meant for a light dose of sewage, a lighter deteriorated water quality, etc. But if you want to treat it in en masse, जैसे पिपलियाना लेक के पीछे बहुत कॉलोनियल डेवलपमेंट है और इंदौर में चूँकि चेक्स एंड मेजर्स का अभाव है, तो कुछ हद तक कुछ छोटी बड़ी इंडस्ट्री, वहाँ पर लखानी शूज़ और ये वो छोटी बड़ी कई इंडस्ट्रीज़ है, वो भी धीरे धीरे अपना पानी छोड़ देते हैं उसमें, गंदा पानी. सो दैट टू ट्रीट दोज थिंग्स यू नीड ए वाटर सीवेज ट्रीटमेंट प्लांट. ये सब बातें क्या है, ये लाइटर लोड पर काम करेंगी, बट फॉर हेवियर लोड यू कैंट गो विद दैट.
थैंक यू सर.
पोल्यूशन लोड, मतलब लोड से मेरा मतलब पोल्यूशन का, पोल्यूशन.
Thank you, sir.
I am also thankful to all of you.
Thank you, sir, for your kind and knowledgeable words. It was an honor to hear from you and your presence here. Also, thank you, sir, for letting us know more about Pipliana Lake and its sewage water treatment. I think we got an enormous amount of knowledge by knowing our city's problem and its solutions. Thank you, sir, for your presence. By this, we are ending our today's session.
आज खत्म.